republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. And Captain Orlowski is here tonight in Chief's stead, as the chief has the flu, and he asked if he could miss the meeting. I said, you don't have permission to miss the meeting. You are ordered not to come. So, very good. Ms. Ricketts, can you please call the roll?
Sephora.
Here.
Renzi. Here. Cuttington.
Here.
Sylvester.
Here.
Calendino.
Here.
O'Donnell.
Here.
Dean.
Here. Very good. Thank you, ma'am. There are green agenda items on the table next to the police chief there. If anyone has any interest in picking one up, you're certainly welcome to. And at this time also, if you'd like to make any public comments regarding any one item or any item on the agenda, you're certainly welcome to make your way to the podium and address council at this time. Yeah, that's right, too. Okay, then we'll show that there's none. Council, we'll ask a motion to receive the minutes from March 12th, 2019, if there's any corrections, additions, or deletions.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of March 12, 2019 as presented.
Support.
Moved by Sikora, supported by Cuttington. Council, any questions or concerns? Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Motion carries. Thank you. So, Captain Orlowski, sir, we'll have you introduce our new firefighters. This is always the best part. And right now, our little council chambers is packed, but in like the next 5 minutes, most of you are going to leave. Well, I certainly welcome you to watch the nonstop fun that is the Utica City Council meeting, should you want to stick around thereafter. Just slide over. We'll start with Jacob first. Jacob, you want to step up? Jacob. Jake, I'm Tom Deanne, the mayor. Nice to meet you, sir. Please go, actually, I'm sorry, you can sit down, go around the front and introduce yourself to all the council members.
Pleasure. Gus Karen Jr. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, be nice to that one. She's the one that's, she does payroll. We'll make that one mad. So Jacob, so you're a firefighter 1 and 2 and EMT or paramedic?
EMT.
Very good. Okay, so, and you know the responsibilities that you have. We're gonna rely on you, everyone here is gonna rely on you to call upon your services to be your very best at their very worst. And you're prepared to do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Go ahead and raise your right hand. Place your left hand on the Bible. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the Constitution of this state,
the Constitution of this state,
and the Charter for the City of Utica,
and the Charter for the City of Utica,
and the rules and regulations,
and the rules and regulations,
policies and procedures
policies and procedures
of the City of Utica Fire Department,
of the City of Utica Fire Department,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of firefighter and EMT
the duties of firefighter and EMT
for the City of Utica Fire Department
for the City of Utica Fire Department
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations, sir. Welcome to the team.
Thank you, sir.
So, Jake, take this over to the clerk and sign it in front of her, and she's gonna give you the original, she'll take a copy. Okay. Alex. So if you'd introduce yourself to everyone here.
Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Congratulations.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Nice to meet you.
Welcome aboard.
Nice to meet you.
And we'll have you say hello to the city clerk in just a moment. You gotta go see her anyways. And don't make her mad too, because she's also HR. So, and I'm Tom Deanne, I'm the mayor.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, sir. Okay. So Alex, go ahead and raise your right hand. Great. Come over, stand here, because I know Mom and Dad are gonna shoot pictures. Place your left hand upon the Bible, raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of this state,
the Constitution of this state,
and the Charter for the City of Utica,
and the Charter for the City of Utica,
and the rules and regulations,
and the rules and regulations,
policies and procedures
and policies and procedures
of the City of Utica Fire Department,
of the City of Utica Fire Department,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of
firefighter and EMT
firefighter and EMT
for the City of Utica Fire Department,
for the City of Utica Fire Department,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Very good. Congratulations, Alex.
Thank you.
Welcome. So it's always a very good day here in the city when we have new recruits come in. We ask you gentlemen to be the very best for our residents here. We know that you will receive excellent training, and the training that you've gotten just in the fire academy will only teach you how to put the wet stuff on the hot stuff. It will not teach you how to be a good firefighter, but through the excellent tutelage of your brothers and the command at Utica Fire Department, you will learn all you need to know. So again, Craig, congratulations and welcome to the team. Well, the fun part's over, so if anyone wants to leave, you're certainly welcome to. Again, I know that we're gonna have a really thrilling council session, and so you're welcome to attend, but should you want to leave by chance, now is the best time. Oh. I get it. Have a good night, thanks for coming now.
I lifted you really fast.
I know.
Which I'm 30.
I hope their parents know that they're being firefighters. I don't know if they got permission slips or what. Okay, so that would be the fire portion, and we're gonna dismiss the captain at this point. Any unfinished business? We have none noted. Consent business, there was none. We did receive correspondence from Bill Wenzel from the Arthritis Foundation Walk. Peter Lucido, our senator, gave us a congratulations for a successful leprechaun race. And Mrs. Gafford sent a letter, and I think to council members also regarding senior housing. So would require a motion to receive and file those correspondences.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Sikora, supported by Terenzi. Any discussion on the matter? Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, motion carries, thank you. Next, we have Mr. Dombrowski of 45-171 Brownell. Mr. Dombrowski, if you can make your way to the podium and introduce yourself, sir.
Tom Dombrowski, 45-215 Grant Park in Utica here.
Yes, sir. And today brings you forward by way of
I am
a high
petitioning.
water bill.
Yes, as mayor is aware of, I had a building that was abandoned. We were in the process of retrieving it through courts. And prior to that, I got a phone call from Nancy saying that I had an extremely high water bill this last quarter. In investigating, I went over there and I could hear water running. I was locked out, as the mayor knows also, as he attempted to help me gain access to it. And what I had found was that a pipe had bursted inside and created a bunch of damage, but it was in the mechanical room. The building is on a slab, and so most of the water, well, all the water went out the back door or different avenues, cracks or what have you. Because of that, I'm asking for a reduction on the sewer charges on this.
And that's because, in council, you may be aware, water and sewer are considered separately because the water, the use you can't deny, but however, that water actually did not make its way down the sewers. That's your assertion?
Correct.
Okay. So the bill is to the tune of $10,196.33. I'm sorry, correction. $9,282.11. If it's on time and it should be late after the 24th of the month, it would be $10,196.33.
Question, was all of this water, couldn't have been absorbed because the ground was frozen? So where did the water go?
Well, it was coming out the back door and it was going,
What, was it going into a street sewer?
well, actually, we saw that back by the fire hall, we saw because the building sits high on a elevated area
Okay.
and the parking lot down below, we could see where water had seeking its lowest level down there. We
Yeah.
commented on seeing the water, but
I had noticed also.
it was coming out the back door, it was coming out so
So
it went somewhere on the
Mr.
grass.
Dombrowski's building sits up on grade and it diminishes as you go towards the fire department. And when I came through the back to the fire department to go up to see his property, you could see water trickling from the bottom of the western portion of the rear lot, trickling into the parking lot at the fire department, which has a storm drain there.
So some water could have gone into the storm drain, which is metered, which is,
No, storm's not metered. Yeah, only sewer is metered. Storm is just the
so it
rainwater.
was a storm sewer.
Storm sewer, that's, yeah, storm drain. Yeah. So, and it would be probably very unlikely that water actually went down the proper sewer, because the only way to get there is either by a drain in the building or
There
a
is no
toilet
drain in the
or something like that, or a sink.
So how does the billing to the city work? Is this gonna be returned to the city? How's that?
Yeah, I don't quite know. Ms. Reedy, as far as billing on this,
No, if you waive the sewage usage,
Anybody use it, that's what
you waive it. We don't charge him the $5,913.
But will the city be charged for that?
Probably not.
We get charged if it went into the sanitary sewer.
Right,
system.
and
So how
sewer's
will we
metered,
know,
correct.
and how will that billing work? How will we know if,
I'm wondering if we could ask, well, Sal, I might introduce Sal Caniglaro. I know Sal knows these things, because Sal's retired from the city of Sterling Heights
If
after.
it's a storm drain, it would not be metered by EWSD. So it would go, generally, it would somehow find its way out to the Clinton River. That's your main outlet here at the city of Utica. That is not a metered system.
Okay, so similarly, had he had a maintenance meter on that, say it was a sprinkler line that had broken, and had an area maintenance meter on it, it'd be the case that that water would go elsewhere, and he'd be only charged for the water used, so the storm would never, the sewer would never appreciate that water because it never actually went in there, and we're only billed on what actually goes down the pipe.
Right.
Fair to say?
Is there, I know it's on a slab, but I'm assuming someplace in that slab you do have a sanitary sewer, or no? I mean, anywhere could water have gone, I'm trying to be fair to you and I'm trying to be
I
fair
understand,
to the
Ken.
city.
No,
Yeah.
there's no cleanouts or, I
No
mean,
floor drain?
no.
no for
So in that case, it'd be the same exact thing as watering your lawn by using.
Or filling a pool and asking for,
Okay. Understood. Any questions, council, on it? Does everyone understand the?
Yeah, if I might add, Bill Lang might be more educated for the answer on this, that your sewer is billed off of your incoming meter. There is no meter for sewage. For sanitary sewer, there is no meter. The meter is whatever comes in is dedicated to go out at some point in time.
So the city will be billed for that?
Well,
Like
just to be clear on that.
You might, if Phil's out there, because he
Phil's
and I
out
went
there.
over the sewer rates, and I believe we are, because we learned, and even us, we're taking water into our sanitary sewer from either leaks in the pipes and stuff like that. So it is metered going out. So we do have water coming in, sewage going out. It is metered.
It is metered.
So-
Yeah, there has to be some appreciable difference
Yeah.
between the two.
So that's when we have this study coming up where they're gonna come up and do the whole city and look at our
It's
pipes.
a all grant.
Yeah, so we
Then,
know we.
I mean, my next question would be, as the mayor brought up, when you have the meter for outside watering, why would it be necessary if it's already metered?
Right.
Well, because
So-
you could have potential, 1,600 different users. In this case, we have one exceptional, like my water usage was 20,000 gallons, his was 613,000 gallons. So we can definitely see that there's a difference there between my pittance use and his,
Going
entirely.
back to your question, the only way we can keep track, because every house itself is not metered with a meter for effluent, for the waste.
Right.
So we do compare what we sell, and what is being bought as far as clean water and what goes back. But we only have one way to charge it.
Right.
And that becomes off the meter in your house for new incoming water. Is it true that we do get metered for wastewater in the sanitary sewer? Phil and I had long discussions not too long ago.
Excuse me. So, yes, we get billed as a city for the effluent that goes through a sanitary sewer meter located on Utica Road across from St. Lawrence. So all of the city's effluent goes through that meter. Macomb County wastewater picks up that meter read and charges that flow to the city of Utica.
and there's no correlation between the effluent
There's,
pipe and the water, and the purchased water pipe?
there is no direct correlation between the water that is purchased and the effluent that goes down somebody's drain, because we don't know how much water you used outside and how much water you used inside. We bill customers for sanitary sewer based on their water consumption, unless they have an area maintenance meter, which allows them to use water outside and not get charged sanitary sewer. Because we don't meter individual houses for effluent. The only way we can attribute effluent that the county is billing us for is by metering the water consumption and saying, okay, you use this water, it had to go somewhere. You're paying based on your water consumption.
So when we have not forgiven residents due to, they mistakenly put a pool in, I remember last year, there was another guy that was watering the grass, didn't realize he was gonna have the huge bill. How is that different than this?
We did make concessions.
We gave him a payment plan, but he,
Gave him a
pa-
payment plan,
but we did not forgive any of the bill.
it has to be proven where the water ultimately drained to. So if you think it went into the sanitary sewer in any way, shape, or whether it's in your house, whether it's a given, you have to charge it, okay, because we have to pay for it. So if this is a case of, if there's beyond a reasonable shadow of a doubt that none of it went into a sanitary sewer, you could say, okay, you could waive the $5,900 portion of it. I don't know if you can reasonably say, all of it, we know a lot of it never made it into the sanitary at all, okay? If it did make it in, I mean, right now, if you just take away the bill out of the $9,200+ and take the $5,900+ out of it, your bill is $3368.95.
Right.
So, on the range of some could have made it in, there could be a very simple concept, say, hey, look, cut the bill to $4,000, be done with it, okay? So it covers a little bit for the city to say $600 could have gone into something else, into the sanitary. I understand that most of it never did. You were in a bad situation, but that's still a really good solution. So, that's up to the rest of council.
Any other council persons have any opinion or concerns, questions? Just to be clear, you don't have any drains in that property? Is there any way water could have got into?
There
sewer
is a shower. The shower has a 5-inch curb on it, and the pipe that broke was in a mechanical room, a different room. There's no way water ever got 5 inches in that building.
All right.
And then there's a toilet, but the stack behind that is iron and sealed tight, so there's no way that water could have went down any drains.
I'm just gonna say, I know for a fact that when he was talking about, that was the house that gets charged both from the city and Shelby.
Yeah,
That's where that problem was.
yep,
Because the guy was not informed when he bought the house. He was gonna
That's
get
right.
2 bills.
yeah, slightly
And
different,
the bill he got was for sewer.
because he was running sprinklers like crazy,
Right, but he didn't know he could have an AM meter.
so, okay. Well, I'm of the mind frame, my personal opinion would be that if there's no real way to get the water into the sewer, then it would be unreasonable to charge you something that we can't, that you just simply didn't do. However, if there's any speculation that it did, then maybe an agreement would be reasonable. So,
I threw out my idea, so.
But we've charged a resident, right, that the water was used to water his grass, so that
different
never.
circumstances.
No, because he got the bill from Shelby for the sewer.
He used every bit of his water, knowing he was using his water.
But the
And
bill that he got was
because he's a
sewer
Shelby
charge
resident, he's got
from
that double
Shelby,
charge for the water.
Not from us.
For Tom, he would have had to actually put water in the sewer system to be able to pay some water. So when we get the bill from Detroit, water and sewer, it would be reasonable that none of his water actually made it into that system because it drained into the grass. Just as if he had an area maintenance meter, we could negate that water usage from his water consumption, because that water went into the grass as well. It never made it to the sewer. It made it into the storm drain, which goes to the Clinton River, which gives more water to the fish, but it didn't actually go down into the pipe to be processed by the city of Detroit.
So the next time a resident comes in and says, I made a mistake, I watered my grass, my brand-new sod for 3 weeks straight, and I wasn't anticipating this bill, all the water went into my grass,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna revisit this argument.
Relief.
No.
We give an extension.
Can I explain one difference? If they do not have an area maintenance meter, there.
Like he doesn't.
Granted, he's on a slab, or you've visited the property, you've seen the leak. But if you just have a regular home, okay, and all your washer, dryer, toilets, everything is hooked up to 1 meter, then no matter what happens, nobody can definitively say where the water ultimately was used, okay? You can't. In the case of an area maintenance meter, it is separated. You literally have one line coming to your house, you have 2 meters. I have that. So anything outside, strictly outside, not my sump pump, that, you know, I have a water backup, anything like that, can be proven that the water that was used on those outside spigots.
So we're not trusting the resident when they said all the water went to their lawn.
But they only have 1 meter.
Yeah, they only have 1 meter. As soon as you have 1 meter, it negates it.
His is a
Here's the
different
situation that, if you say there are no floor drains in that place, it could have been reached, okay? You saw the water go down the hill. There are no sanitary sewer openings out in the fields, it could be a storm sewer. Then the argument you could say, okay, my bill is $3368.95.
It was definitively a storm drain, that's right behind the fire department, there's a catch basin down there.
Yeah, there's a drain right there.
The only way that water can go down into a sanitary sewer is either down a drain in the floor, through a toilet, or through a sink or shower. Those are the only ways that it can get in there. Everything else fell into the ground or went into the river.
This one's pretty definitive, and if anybody knows, I almost never cut deals on water bills. You know that.
I've been in the position, so I know.
yes.
I would make a motion to negate the portion of the water usage. Before I do that, how long was the building vacant?
We started eviction process with, we couldn't find the individual, but it was, end of October.
I'm sorry, when was it?
End of October.
Okay, and have you made an insurance claim on the property?
I have not, but, well, I started that.
Will your insurance agent help with some of the water bill?
I don't know.
Okay. Could we defer this or table this until we find out if your insurance company would cover some of the water bill?
The water portion?
Well, all of it.
All of it.
I don't know if it's put us in a tricky situation.
I think that's,
Insurance company?
When we get our city bill, won't we know
I think we have a moral
They had a
obligation to do
burst
the right.
pipe and that was a resulting damage.
won't we be able to look at our bill that we receive
Detroit?
and know if our sewage rate is
Please
out of whack?
understand, the sewage and the water, the metered water coming in and the sewage going out never match, because we have.
But we could see a jump statistically. We're talking about how many
Not by
thousand,
this is nothing.
That's
no?
This
Okay,
is nothing. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's nothing more than a huge swimming pool, really.
Okay.
When you think about how many gallons it is.
Okay, then, if it's been vacant since October, then the water bill, this would have been.
The
this
last
issue-
water bill was the minimum.
Okay, that was the minimum.
Well, it would have been in January.
I'd make a motion to negate the sewer portion. Not the minimum sewer portion, but the line item 010, for the $5,913.16 to negate that, because it would seem reasonable that water never actually made it down the sewer.
support.
So moved by Dion, supported by Mr. O'Donnell. We'll take a roll call vote, Ms. Ricketts.
Cora.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
just
I'm sorry,
so
yes, discussion,
the
please.
public knows, this is not setting a new precedent. I think we've really defined why and how this has come about. So, okay, thank you.
All right, very good. So, any further discussion? I'm sorry, yeah, sorry to negate the discussion portion. Perry? All right. I know you want to say something.
I'm very glad Pam was mentioning that.
Good, okay.
Just so it's stated in the record, it's
Yeah.
not a.
So this,
Yes, this is a very unique case.
this is the amount due.
Okay. So, I'll make a motion for the bill to be amended to $3,338.95. Actually, I'm sorry, I already made the motion.
Wait a minute.
Well, it just says the dollar amount, it's the total bill, the current bill, not with any penalties,
You're
less
just-
the 5,900.
They gave
You're waiving the sewer usage city of $5,913.16, correct?
Yes.
Okay. that's
Yeah,
what
so
I got.
that'll be the
That's
motion,
what
we'll
I
continue that
understood.
motion, I apologize for the confusion. It's been moved, it's been seconded, it's been discussed. Mr. Ricketts, who has a roll call vote, please?
Sikora?
Yes,
Torenzi?
Yes.
Cunnington?
Yes.
Sylvester?
Yes.
Calendino?
No.
O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deanne?
Yes, very good, motion carries, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Dombrowski. Anything
Well,
further?
thank you, Mayor and Council, I appreciate that.
Okay. So, next agenda item we have is going to be our department reports. We'll start with the mayor's office. We have the gentleman, I'm sorry, that's yours. Representing the DEQ redevelopment grant for the City of Utica Training Facility. So, gentlemen, would you like to make your way to the podium? And I'm going to defer to our city attorney. She's been working with these two gentlemen through this process, and she has a little more expertise on it.
So Mayor and Council, as you'll recall, back in, I think it was September, Council had voted to offer support for a grant application from the MDEQ to assist in fixing some of the conditions on the property located just west of Jimmy John's Field and north of Beninati. These gentlemen then came back before us again, I believe it was in February, I think it was February, having gone through Planning Commission for approval, and council approved the use subject to some issues we're attempting to work through still with regard to Moscone Drive. Last week, while I was on vacation, Mayor was on vacation, the good news was rendered by the MDEQ that the grant was approved for $450,000. I know that they are excited to get going with the work on the property. Therefore, we've put this on the agenda, and I'm gonna propose a couple of motions for council to make in this regard. The first action that needs to be taken is to formally accept the grant and approve execution of the related brownfield grant contract. And I would just add, I would request that you do that subject to final legal review and revisions. I have been working with MDEQ. We're pretty darn close to having that language finalized. There are a couple tweaks I wanted to the grant contract, so that really would not, I don't believe it'd be anything substantive that you would have any concerns with, but just to allow me that little bit of wiggle room to finalize the actual review and revisions without having to come back in May and lose a month of time where they can be actually working on the property at what is prime time to be doing that. And then the second motion would be to approve execution of a reimbursement agreement, again, subject to final legal review and revisions. I just finished drafting that today, and I've provided that out to you. You can see there's a couple of questions. This is typical of what I'm working on right now to get some final language in here. This grant is formally awarded to the City of Utica for the use as outlined in the grant package and documentation that was in the council documentation. And then pursuant to that project development and reimbursement agreement, that's the agreement that we have with the developers so that they show the work is done, they submit their paperwork to us. With the MDEQ's assistance, we verify that the work was done, MDEQ pays us, and then we pay them the reimbursement for it. So if you have any questions on either of those, I'd be happy to answer them.
If not, I'll make a motion to do the first thing that Linda said.
And just so that the record is clear, that motion is to accept the Utica Training Facility grant from MDEQ and approve execution of the related brownfield grant contract subject to final legal review and revisions.
Support.
It's been moved by Sikora, supported by Terenzi. Council, any discussion on the matter?
Mr. Mayor, under what circumstances do we have to pay this money back to the state? I mean, is there a scenario in which we're on the hook for $450,000 we don't have?
No, it would just be, I mean, if the money was not used, if for some reason the development was abandoned,
Right.
then obviously we wouldn't have been paid it from the state in the first place. But,
Okay.
no, that's what I've been working with, actually, with the MDEQs to make sure that the grant contract language, which ironically is standard language that's been entered with regard to these grants throughout the state and identical to language that the cities entered into before, but I've requested some stricter verbiage to ensure that we don't have any additional liability there.
Cool, great.
And I imagine something like this is usually done by a draw measure, that certain work's performed. The state comes in, takes a look at it, they say, yes, this meets the standard. They put us
Yeah.
a notice, we then are able to, through the grant money, cut checks to them and reimburse them for their funds that they've used. I imagine that's.
Yeah, I
right through the
noticed that
process.
there's a benchmarking ladder, I guess, that's in there, so that's.
The one thing is, there is the option, and there is money budgeted in there where you could have a third-party administrator actually oversee that process. I talked to the MDEQ today to see if that was something that council should be considering. I was advised by Mr. Dango of the MDEQ that, you know, that's not gonna make the city's job any easier because he will be reviewing everything and ensuring that the work has been done in conjunction with SME. But, you know, that is something, if the city wanted to hire a third party to do that, they could, but it was his opinion that it was really unnecessary. And money that could be applied towards the project instead.
So, council, any further questions for the city attorney or the two gentlemen? Very good. It's been moved, it's been discussed. Ms. Ricketts, will have a roll call vote, please.
Sikora?
Yes.
Frenzy?
Yes.
Cuttington?
Yes.
Sylvester?
Yes, congratulations.
Calendino?
Yes.
O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deanne?
Yes. Very good. Motion carries. Thank you.
Second motion is to approve execution of a reimbursement agreement subject to final legal review and revisions.
I will make a motion to approve the execution of reimbursement agreement, subject to the final legal review and revisions.
Support.
Moved by Deanne, supported by Sikora. Any discussion on the matter? Very good. Ms. Ricketts, an additional roll call vote, please.
Sikora?
Yes.
Frenzy?
Yes.
Cuttington?
Yes.
Sylvester?
Yes.
Calendino?
Yes.
O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deanne?
Yes. Very good. Thank you so much. The motion carries.
And then absent a motion to have a third-party administrator, we will proceed without one unless council were to want differently.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're okay in that
Okay.
regard.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys very much.
Congratulations. Good luck with everything.
Thank you very
And that-
much.
That property looks a million times better with that building down already.
Yeah, no kidding.
So,
Just the way it is.
I can't wait to see what it looks like in a couple months from now.
Yeah, that's a big change.
When do you actually anticipate to start digging?
2 weeks, we were just approved with the water main issues we worked through.
Good.
And, yeah, so we're just sourcing the contract right now, and frost laws come off Monday, so nothing really could've been done
Exciting.
till then anyways, but a couple weeks.
Great.
Steel's
job.
coming, end of May.
Awesome. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Have a nice evening.
Thank you guys.
The next order of business today we have before us is going to be Sal Aguilera, sales with HRC. He's going to be discussing the Van Dyke curb replacement bids, Memorial Park bid, and the Pioneer Park bids. And he's here representing today because Mr. Lang is off with an injury.
Thank you. Good evening. So I'm just going to give you kind of a brief overview of the three projects. I'll start with the two smaller ones. Memorial Park, we received 4 bids on Memorial Park on March 12th this year. The low bid for the project was Marino Landscaping out of Shelby Township, 51879 Shana Road, Shelby Township. The bid was for $19,476.75. The estimate that we were working towards was $25,000, so it came in under the estimate that we were looking at. We reviewed their qualifications, called on the recommend, and they checked out, looked like a good company. So our recommendation would be to award to Marino Landscaping at the city's desire. So, yes.
Question, there's a difference of $4,000 between Marinos and Prolon. What is when it says elimination of the maintenance warranty, what is the maintenance warranty?
So at the time we originally put the project together, our standard language requires that the contractor provide a maintenance guarantee on the plants. So that if they're over the 2-year period, if the plants die, they have to come back in, they replace them. It's all part of the warranty on the project. There was discussion at the city's end that, a lot of that, the value of the replacement, what is it better off for us to actually have the maintenance, or maybe we warranty it ourselves in-house? What's that dollar cost? So I said, well, we can add an alternate into the project to see, and then we'll have a number, and we'll know what that value is, and then you can decide at that point, do you want to award it with the normal warranty, or would you prefer to forego the warranty and kind of do the warranty in-house with your own personnel? That means if the plants die, then potentially your DPW folks would go in there and they would pull it out and replace it themselves. So that was the idea, and that's why we put the contract together with an alternate, just to see what those prices would come in at, and give city council an opportunity, and the city an opportunity to go in either direction, whatever they felt, what they were more comfortable with.
Both of these two firms had the ability to quote both alternatives?
Yes, yes. They both had the exact same bid specs, bid proposal sheets. They provided pricing. So if you go with the alternate, then as I indicated in our, then it actually would flip, and then it would be Pro-Mo Lawn Maintenance out of Sterling Heights, Michigan, would be slightly lower at $19,476.75. We also, because we recognize that depending on how this would go, one or the other may have it, so we also called on their references, and they checked out very well. So you have two good companies, depending on which route you take. The price is very tight between the two, so I think the bids were competitive with what the market currently is dictating.
So our decision is, we pay the higher price if we want to say, for the next 2 years, everything is taken care of by the outside contractor, okay? The other alternative is, all of a sudden, we pay for the replacement plants, and we have to dump on the DPW for more work to go in and do it. So, my thought would be, pay the higher bid, have the 2-year warranty, and be done with it, because we're already hurting with DPW labor right now. So,
And between Marino and Pro-Mo, which one would, given the warranty with both of them, which would be the lower of the two?
So if you go with the warranty work, then the low bidder would be Marino Landscape out of Shelby Township.
Council, any further discussion or questions for Mr. Canigliaro? Okay, then it would require a motion to approve the award to Marino Landscaping.
I'll make a motion to approve the low bid for the base bid of $23,659 to Marino Landscape located at 51879 Shannon Road, Shelby Township, 48315.
Support.
Moved by Sikora, supported by O'Donnell. Any discussion on the matter? If not, then Ms. Ricketts will have a roll call vote, please.
Sikora?
Yes.
Torenzi? Yes. Cuttington?
Yes.
Sylvester?
Yes.
Calandrino?
Yes.
O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deanne?
Yes. All right, very good. So congratulations to Marino Landscaping. And Mr. Canigliaro, sir, would be the next one to be Van Dyke curb
The
replacement?
Van Dyke curb replacement, yeah. So again, on March 12th this year, we opened up the bid for the Van Dyke curb replacement project. This project entails, as it states in the title, replacement for fixing the curb work from, on Van Dyke from M59 to the city limit. Work has been done over the years along there to replace curb, and this is just another installment of a project that the city's undertaken in the past. Additionally, we do have pricing in here to do drive approach work, but that would be something that would only be done if the property owner wished to be done, but I think that there's going to be a mechanism where they would be paying for that. But we received 2 bids on March 12th. With the low bidder from L. Anthony Construction, located out of Shelby Township. The low bid was $103,397,000. The engineer's estimate for the work was $126,000, so they came in well underneath our estimate. L. Anthony, I've personally worked with them on projects in the past. Not recently, but I have worked in the past. We did call on their references. All the references checked out. So our recommendation would be to award to L. Anthony Construction.
Council, any questions for Mr. Canigliaro?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry.
What is a driveway opening?
The drive approach would be the portion from the curb or that section where the curb continues in front of the driveway, but above it. So that driveway would be that concrete apron just beyond the curb, from there to the sidewalk.
So it would facilitate faster right-hand turns into.
No,
parking lots.
this would be
This is
just,
the area between the street and the sidewalk that allows you to come up, like in your driveway. The portion between the street and the sidewalk, that's the apron. It allows, and so we're giving some businesses the opportunity, because we're pouring concrete, tearing concrete out.
Right.
It would cost us nothing, but because the companies are there working, if their approach was damaged, they could contract with the contractor to have their approaches replaced at their cost, and just it's opportunity and convenience at that point.
It's economy of scale for the businesses. If they
Right.
want to repair their drive approach now, we have pricing for it, and they'll probably get the best bang for their buck if they
Right.
choose to do it now under this contract.
Perfect, got it. Thank you.
Mr. Cuddington, sir?
When the guys put the bid in, was it strictly for Van Dyke only?
The project is for Van Dyke only, but we didn't, if there's other areas, contractor may be interested in doing it. So, yeah, the project was set up strictly for Van Dyke.
We had that grant.
I spoke to Bill Lang about this, and I know for a fact the curb from Van Dyke to about 50 feet in on Hahn is tore out completely. And I don't know why that's not in the project.
We would, the contractor would love to include it, yeah. So if there's stuff like
It's
that,
that bad.
if there are things like that, city personnel or the consultant, I'm not sure who will mark out the actual limits of removal when the project starts. So we'll go out there in advance of the contractor and paint out the areas that we want done. And generally, if it's adjacent to Van Dyke on Hahn, we can include that in there. That shouldn't be a problem. I don't see that being an issue.
And, well, to further that, which is a great idea, Ms. Trinsey had a conversation with Mrs. Farrington, and she was able to gain some information that sometimes these grants were able to make small modifications to them because the project on Hahn, or the Hahn is adjacent to Van Dyke, and those curves are continuous. It could be the case, maybe there would be opportunity to make an amendment to the grant to allow that to happen under the grant's dollars. Because it did come in so far under budget.
Right.
Maybe it would be doable to use those remaining $47,000 on some other improvements like Mr. Cuddington's advising. Right, yeah, well, maybe Custer too. Yeah, Custer and Messmore have some rough streets that need to be attended to.
Yeah, just because, well, thank you, Councilman Cuddington, because I live on Hahn. So I know exactly what he's talking about. But yeah, just out of curiosity, because those curbs, they are continuous, and it just seems that each one of our feeder streets into the, especially this, I see on the historic side, all seem to be in pretty bad shape. Hahn I just see every day, so I know, but, again, because as a layperson to look at it, hey, it's continuous, it bends all around. How would, like, at what point?
Generally,
Do you typically just say, okay, this is where we?
Yeah, we would generally look at the curb as it came around the radius.
Okay.
Just past the sidewalk. Anything within the Van Dyke right-of-way was the limits that we looked at for this project. So any of that radius curb, when it continued on down Hahn, for example, past where the sidewalk crosses, that wasn't looked at under this
So it
project.
wouldn't be like, could I imagine like a certain, like a standard degree that would come out, or?
Yeah, if you were going down Van Dyke, the curb, and then we do the 90-degree onto Hahn,
Okay.
that radius all the way to the sidewalk ramp, including the ramp, including that area in front of the sidewalk ramp, that was all considered.
And that, is that just kind of standard when
That's
you do like a
standard.
major corridor?
Right,
Okay.
right.
Is it,
Thank you.
I'm sorry, is it possible in this case to approve this work so we get onto contractor schedules and then investigate with Ms. Farrington or whatever the public, with the state, if we can use the remaining roughly $46,000, their part to extend it a little bit further, so we don't, because it's gonna be a real busy construction season.
And I wonder if we can
So-
be far enough ahead of the ball game there, if you have like a house maybe on Hahn and you see like some of the sidewalk being a bit of a problem or whatever, that we can
I don't know
jump
how
on
much.
in.
we
I
can
don't
make.
know if
I'll reach out to her office tomorrow, see what our options are as far as, adding on to the project. I mean, if the money's there and we're under, we've been given $150,000, I don't see why they wouldn't let us continue the progress, but you never know.
Phil's good.
So, Phil? Sorry.
So, when we did Auburn Road a few years ago, that was a similar MDOT grant. There was a certain radius that they allowed us to expand beyond the original scope of the grant application. So I think that there's no question that they want us to use the money. They don't want us to turn it back. The best thing to do at this point would be to, in your motion, authorize the necessary expansion as MDOT will permit. And then we will contact MDOT and find out from them what they will allow us to expand beyond the original scope. The original scope of the grant application was for curbs, not for sidewalks. So MDOT's going to say it's curb repairs. And you get off of Van Dyke onto, now Hahn is a major street, but all the other feeder streets are local streets. That's not to say that you couldn't authorize the contractor using local street funds to continue on down a little far, ways. But again, you would need to know how much money you were going to spend.
But even if we could, again, just continue, even if it was just curbs and wipe out more of the bad curbs, it would be well worth our interest. Use up the money.
Okay, so it would require a motion to approve Al Anthony as the awarded contractor for this project.
I'll make a motion to approve L. Anthony Construction as the low bidder on the project and award it to them for $103,397 and to, how did you phrase that?
Expand.
Authorize the necessary expansion allowed by MDOT.
Thank you.
Use up the remaining grant funds.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
So, very good. So moved by Sikora, do your support?
Support.
Support by Calendino. Council, any further discussion on the matter? Very good. Ms. Ricketts, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Sikora?
Yes.
Torenzi?
Yes.
Cuddington?
Yes.
Sylvester?
Yes.
Calendino?
Yes.
O'Donnell?
Yes.
Dion?
Yes. Very good. Thank you, everyone. So, Mr. Consigliero?
Canigliaro.
On to the Pioneer Park bid.
Okay, so Pioneer Park, that was the third project we opened on March 12th. So a little bit background on Pioneer Park. The city received a $500,000 grant to develop the land located at 7655 Chapelton Street, located the west end of Hahn Street, just west of Brunel Street. So during our preliminary review of it, of the project back in 2018, we prepared a preliminary estimate. The estimate came in at around $750,000 for everything that we wanted to include in the park. So we put together, working with the city, we put together a schedule to say, well, some of this could be done with in-house forces, some of this could be contracted out. How do you want to proceed? Decided to proceed with the project. Let's get the pricing on it, and then we can decide how we wanted to split this project up potentially. So on March 12th, we received bids. The low bidder for the project was Cross Renovations out of Livonia, Michigan, and their bid was $969,838,500. Looking at the bid preliminarily, there were things in there that we added to the bid proposal, including site grading, which the city had indicated they were already going to do themselves. HMA pathway, that circled the park itself, and possibly purchasing additional topsoil, though it turns out that we had enough topsoil available. So that value of those items are $224,248, which brings us down to about $745,590,000. Still over budget, so at this time, we are, I've spoke to Cross Renovations, told them that we're looking at the bid, we're speaking with the city, there are certain things that may have to be eliminated from the project, and there are certain things that may be done with in-house forces. I spoke to Bill Lang, I know he's off right now, but I did call him and he did pick up. And he said that he thought that it was feasible to complete this project, possibly contracting some of the work out in-house, maybe having cross renovations, do some of the major items like the comfort station, bathroom areas, and that, and we could probably get this under budget. So at this point, we are requesting a postponement and we don't think we should be awarded. That will give us an opportunity to work out some details with Bill and Tom as to what we want the final product to be, what we can contract out, what can be done, supplemental contracts possibly, and maybe even some redesign. I know that the lighting system came in very expensive, and that's due to some of the landfills issues in the park. So some of the thoughts there were, well, maybe we can define, I think we have Bill says he knows where the limit of the landfill is, so if we move the lights east of that and we get into that virgin ground, not into the landfill, then I think that we could rebid those out and get a lot cheaper pricing. So that's kind of one example of what we think we can do to save money on here, on the project. Once we formulate a game plan, a strategy, so to say, then I think we would be able to provide City Council a recommendation as to how we could put this together and move this project into a construction phase. So we would ask for any, at this point, this is kind of an update. We're not ready to provide a recommendation for award until we've worked out some of the details, sit down, negotiate some of these items with cross renovations, put the numbers back together again, and bring it forth to City Council so you can see it based on the available budget.
Normally, as in your other bids, HRC is always very close to your projected bids that come in.
Yes.
Is this because of, let's face it, things are very, very busy in the construction trade? I mean,
Our final estimate as we were going out for bid was $860,000. So this is still $100,000 over our budget. So speaking to the contractors, this is not what they would call a production job. You have the curb job. Contractor comes in and he can set up his traffic control and he can tear out the curb, he can pour. This job, you have lighting, you have specialty signs, you have a bathroom, you have plumbing and mechanical, you have site lighting, you have fencing, specialty fencing. So it really becomes a job where the prime really is just doing construction management, and he's bringing in a lot of different subs. So it's not you lose a lot of efficiencies there. So there weren't a lot of the big contractors we normally see for paving jobs, sidewalk jobs, sewer jobs. None of those guys were interested in doing the work because the profit wasn't there for them. They want to do what they call production jobs. And this is just something, it isn't that type of job. We're developing a piece of land with a specialty use, a park system, and there's very few contractors that really get involved in that kind of thing. So there's a premium that they add, just because of all the different contracting and coordinating work that they want to do. So that's the feedback that I received, because when a lot of guys picked up plans, I had received calls from some of them we know, we've seen them here in the city do work, but they didn't bid on the job. So when I asked them, like, hey, what happened? They were like, yeah, there's a lot of other jobs out there. It's a lot easier to make money on than a job like this. And so that's what it really came down to.
Do we, and if I recall, there is some sense of urgency as far as starting for the grant, as far as when the grant monies have to start to
Just
flow
before the
and
end of
when
the
they
year.
we have to be done?
We have to the end of the year to spend the dollars.
The end of 2019.
Yes.
Okay. So, then, council, any further questions? It looks like at this point, Pioneer Park's just an update until we get a little more firm, terra firma, where we're gonna be with our contractor.
Yes,
And what jobs the city may do and contract out, or versus what we might hire them to do.
We're hoping in the next 2 weeks, maybe less, hopefully maybe within a week or so, we'll be able to put together, I'll put together a memo that I can provide to the city that outlines where we're at. Hopefully, the numbers will work at that point. And at that point, I know the city's done special meetings in the past. I don't know if that's something that could be done here. And the only reason I bring that up is, it's a construction season starting. So, if we have to wait another month, we lose a lot of valuable construction time. So if it's something that the city council could consider, I think that would help move the project forward to a successful completion for this construction season.
All right, any further questions?
Is there any possibility of adjusting any elements within the project, or at this point, you really can't make those kind of changes?
yeah.
You're kind of committed?
No, with the way we structured the contract and the bid specifications, we have language in there that it tells the contractor that we have the right, or the city has the right to pull out any element of the work that they deem that they don't want to award. Also, we put language in the contract and actually put in the items and say there are certain items that the city may be done by other forces or in-house forces, and you need to be aware that when you bid this, know that you may not get these items of work. So when I spoke to Cross Renovations, first thing I asked him was, I'm like, you did read that, you understand that, correct? And he said yes. And he said he was okay, he understood the issue with funding, and he said that he would be willing to negotiate and work out, or only do the part of the project, whatever the city deems appropriate to award to him. So I told him that once we get our ducks in a row, that we would get back with him and discuss maybe what the structure of the award would be.
All right, council, anything further for Mr.?
No, the question is, how much was the grant for?
500,000.
So why are we looking at 700,000? We don't have, why are we going way over?
Well, Mr. Caniglaro was telling you that.
Well, yeah, but you're still looking at 700,000.
You're not. That's if
I was gonna say,
that's
so
if we
why
hired
don't
it
we
out.
just build to what we can afford and not go in debt?
Well, that's exactly what we're going to do.
Nothing more.
He explained that.
That should have said.
That's the goal. The goal is to build, to work to your budget, the available budget. And that's what we're undertaking here over the next few weeks.
That's why we're having the DPW being able to do the grading rather than.
Well, see, that's the thing, that DPW already has work to do, and you're putting them over another project. We're back to
I'm
reg-
not putting him anywhere, okay?
You're the one that's responsible, you tell them where to go.
You are equally as responsible, sir.
No.
This is
you
our
tell them
council.
What to do. And Bill
This
says,
is our
"You're sending
decision.
them over there."
Okay,
That's what I'm saying.
you're misinformed.
I appreciate that comment, and that's why I did call Bill, and I wanted to, obviously, we wouldn't, they have a lot to do, they have a lot on their plate, absolutely. And there's only so much they can do. But some of it, like the grading, that's just getting on a tractor and getting out there. That'll save you $87,000 by putting somebody on a dozer and grading out the
And it
project.
doesn't necessarily have to happen during work hours. Our DPW guys would be more than happy to use the funding on after hours or on weekends, so they can earn this aside from doing their daily duty.
And Mr. Cunningham, the other thing is, we are talking about reducing the scope. That it will have to be part of this to make this work. And when we put the full project out, we knew going into it that we're probably gonna have to reduce the scope. But let's get the pricing, let's see, bid out the entire vision of what we want this park to be. Then we can decide and then pull back, logically not do things that maybe could be postponed to a later date. Certain elements you should do now, some things you can push off to a later date. So those are the things that we want to look at now.
I just, like I say, my concern is not to overspend and also not to overwork.
Yes.
Get work that other things aren't getting done because they're over there in the park,
Yep.
which doesn't work either.
Yep.
That's
I
all I'm
agree with you.
I think everyone's in agreement that we don't want to spend any more money than what the grant allows. So, okay, Mr. Caniglaro, anything else, sir?
No, sir, that's it. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you for your report tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next item, I have one other item or two actually for the mayor's report. The blue light poles were installed this week in Grant Park. They are successful. Our DPW guys wired those in. The budget for that was $15,000. We purchased two of them. I believe the total was $8,100 for the two of them. Our DPW guys installed those with the trenching themselves, the concrete and the connectivity, and they are installed working $7,000 under budget. for that, which worked out great. And so at this point, should you press the button, you'll be immediately connected with a 911 dispatcher. Chief, I don't know if I told you that they're working today.
Yep, I got that from dispatch when I
Yep,
came in.
so we verified that they work, you'd press the button, you're immediately connected to a 911 dispatcher. For those that should want to test the button by chance, they will be subject to abuse of the 911 system, just like anyone else, should you just go and play with the button, so it is limited to emergency uses only. Outside of that, we also are working, the DDA is working to install new basketball poles in Grant Park. The concrete's being poured right now for 2 new poles, along with some painting of the court. So the DDA is working on that, and they will be installed this week or next, depending on how quickly the concrete dries for that whole process. So, Mr. Callen, do you have anything else from the DDA portion there?
You covered it.
As far as that?
Maybe the mural?
Yeah, so when we get in the DDA, actually, I'll work on that one. And I believe that's it for the mayor's report. Council, anything from council persons?
I want to take one personal minute, and I am here tonight, but I would like to wish my wonderful wife a 36th wedding anniversary today.
Ooh, happy anniversary.
On your anniversary.
One might be surprised she kept you that long.
I'm surprised.
I mean, I'm gonna get ready now.
So I need to put a note in my phone for June,
Yes,
for me.
that's right. It's in a council meeting.
Yes.
This is, in 30 years, this is my 5th council meeting, it's landed on my
Right on it.
anniversary, so.
So, very good.
Yeah,
All right, so any further council reports? Mr. Perry Sylvester, sir?
Yeah, so I attended the Michigan Municipal League's CapCon, their capital conference. As usual, it's one of those things where there's an opportunity for networking, but I suck at that, so I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. But there are a lot of informational meetings that go on. I pulled stuff together, and I'll shoot it out as an email to folks who have all the various different downloads, the various different presentations. As far as things I thought were really valuable, the first thing, of course, is we're always looking for money. And so on a certain level, we could say, well, this is, some of these things might be old hat. However, I think they might get somewhat lost in the stream. And this is kind of like the beginning of actually having a master spreadsheet of the various different, anything from agencies to various different regular grant programs that are under the MEDC that we might be able to go ahead and zero in on. There's certain things like the safe routes to schools. It gets very confusing because MDOT's got their hand in it and some of these other things. So when you try to go ahead and search, it becomes a little confusing. Similar with, now we know we've got DDA. Well, there are other things similar as far as, you know, your corridor improvement authority and whatnot, whether these things could overlap or whatnot, don't know. So I apologize if folks already, oh yeah, we already know that. But I thought, pulled it together, had it in one regular source for it. There were, there's also the information on the changes for the TIF authority reporting requirements. So they had a nice little information on that, I pulled that. The thing that I thought was probably not pressing for us, it's not on the dollar aspect, but they did talk about an initiative for, called Restoring Civility. Don't know why we need that, but, so there's, one of the things that they suggest you can go ahead and do, so you can go ahead and pass a proclamation. And there are a couple other interesting things that you can connect with. I like the fact that you can also connect with high schools as set up like a youth council. Our mayor is pretty good working with the young folks. That would be kind of a natural thing, in connecting in with an internship. Then they bring back some of the things that they learn within schools, and you try to get that, you know, moving forward. Very good and very informative presentation on preemption, and as I look at all of our various different marijuana type things, I just kind of suspect that anything we do will probably be preempted anyway. But the last thing I thought was very useful were 2 development tools. One is this is all at the myplace.org. They have Proforma 101. So you have for free this, your spreadsheet, so you can estimate your various different revenues, get a sense of return on investment. But, I'll read this here. So pro forma analysis is a set of assumptions and calculations that projects the financial return that proposed real estate development is likely to create. Okay, thank you. It begins by describing the proposed project in quantifiable terms. Moving through the spreadsheet, the user estimates revenues that are likely to be obtained, the costs that will have to be incurred, and the net financial return the developer expects to achieve on their given project. The pro forma assists in better project understanding by storing and displaying all project financial information in one place that we could all get to, providing the user with an appreciation for the push and pull of cost and income, time and risk, and how changing one factor can affect the whole downward chain of other factors. So that's available for us. It's free. It's online. And there's a little guide on how to use it. So I thought that could be really useful. There's also, they have a template for request for qualifications. So as opposed to just begging the developers, you got the RFP and they go through their process, we're great. Well, you give them, they have to go through this RFQ to see their qualifications, get a better feel for them, and help us out. So I thought those were just good things. And that's what happened. Oh, my last thing was, I hope we could have people participate in it and really rotate around, not just have, well, Perry likes to go to conferences, and Perry, and I mean, it's easy for me, because I've got, freedom work-wise, but it would be really great to get some DDA people. It would be really great to get some people from commissions, primary planning, get other, other folks involved as well.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sylvester. Any other council person?
No, I'm just going to mirror and say I agree. I went to the conference probably for the first 7 years that I was on council, and I always got good information. Everything that these gentlemen were telling us tonight about the Marijuana Act, I found out 3 years ago before it was even starting, when I went to the Michigan Municipal League Conference. So if anyone can take the 2 days to go, it's entirely worth your time. And even if you go one day, it really is worth it. You get so much out of it.
And I should also mention that their free training stuff they give to give a sense of best practices. There's the redevelopment ready committees. It's 2 long days. For this year, sessions 1, 2, and 3 are in Cadillac on August 21st. Then the follow-up is in Cadillac on September 10th, or Detroit on May 8th. And they also have the Michigan Main Street. It's a one-day thing. There's April 30th in Howell, June 19th in Wayland, July 25th in Everett. And then hopefully, again, we can spread out to folks like the DDA, then commission. It doesn't just have to be council.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, council. If there's nothing further from council, there was nothing from the planning commission at this time. Assessing, nothing to report tonight. The building department, Mr. Hicks, had asked that everyone be mindful at home to make sure that they are on top of their property maintenance as the season is coming around now that the weather's warming up, and he will be out in full force and enforcing blight and is asking for participation. As well, you would have gotten a newsletter. Parts of the city at this point who received their water bills have received a letter just kind of reminding them, one, of the items coming up, such as, things to be aware of as far as blight, and also on the back of that page would have been our calendar for the year, events calendar. And if you've not received it, it will be coming with your water bill when you get it. Mrs. Dagey had nothing from the library at this time. Chief Wilczek had nothing, he was sick. Chief Cody.
Just wanted to quickly update council. I know when we last met, I also had spoke to you in regards to getting rid of some of our repurposed vehicles. The first one went almost immediately. They had a police auction that following weekend. If I remember correctly, it was like a $1,700 or $1,800 that we got for that vehicle, and it had a number of issues as it went out the door. So as we cycle into our new fleet, we're going to be looking forward to taking the one vehicle from the fire department, and we're going to be putting that one into the auction as well. But so far, that is going as planned, if not better, for some of the return that we're getting on our old fleet. So that project continues, and you'll see that we're getting some new cars. The ones that are coming out have the new decals on them. So as they come out, you'll see where we're at with the project. So that's just kind of a quick update.
Thank you.
And real quick, Chief, we had a couple critical incidents. We don't need to go into them, but council's aware of them. These last weeks have been very pressing for the police department, so hats off to yourself and all the officers for the hours worked and closing cases and resolving issues in a very safe manner. So it's a testament to yourself and the department that these items were taken so seriously and resolved so peacefully.
Absolutely.
Excellent work.
And I also want to just give a shout out to all the employees of the Utica Police Department. Throughout these incidents, it required overtime and immediate staffing to help resolve them. When I started making phone calls, there wasn't one phone call that didn't go unanswered, and the answer on the other end of the line was, "I'm on my way in." So some of these took a great amount of time and resources, and everybody was willing to pitch in, and I'm honored to have these people in my staff.
Additional thanks to Shelby Township, Sterling Heights, and the Macomb County Sheriff as well.
Exactly.
Okay. Chief, anything else?
That's all.
Does anyone have anything for the chief? Very good. Okay, DPW Superintendent Bill Lang, he is off the job right now on injury. Mr. Paternoster, does anyone see any reason why we can't dismiss the chief? All right, Chief, if you want to head on home, we appreciate you. We've done plenty of hours these last couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Mr. Paternoster, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have in your packet 3 items for me to address. The first one is the summary annual report of the City of Utica Police and Fire Retirement System as of June 30, 2018. This is a summary of the annual valuation report that was presented to you last month. It's just being submitted to you to receive and file pursuant to state statute. Second item is a audit engagement for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2019. I'm requesting the acceptance of Yo and Yo's audit engagement letter. Yo and Yo has completed the audits for fiscal years 2017 and 2018 satisfactorily, and their proposed fee for services for this next year is $33,000, an increase of $750 over last year, or 2.33%. I will state that our agreement with Yo and Yo expired with the June 30, 2018 audit. Yo and Yo had picked up the 5-year agreement that we had with Abraham and Gaffney when Abraham and Gaffney closed their doors. And it had been my intention to solicit proposals for the audit services this year, but time got away, and there's not sufficient time to go through that process now before June 30. The audit firms are already setting their schedule for the audit. So I would ask that we continue with Yo and Yo for another audit cycle.
Very good. So it would require a motion, I imagine, to engage in the audit cycle with Yo and Yo.
I'll make a motion that we continue with Yo and Yo with the intention of looking for possible new auditors for next year.
I will second the motion. Moved by Ms. Terenzi, seconded by myself. Council, any discussion on the matter?
I have a question. Mr. Paternoster, when would be an appropriate time to start soliciting, looking for, another audit firm would it be something we would do in the fall?
I would say it would be something we start
the fall?
shortly after the June 30th fiscal year end, yes.
Okay.
Anything further from Mr. Paternoster?
Just as a reference point, do you phrase it that we solicit bids for a new auditor, or because it sounds like you're looking for a new auditor, it's telling Yo and Yo, we don't want you, the way that was just said.
Well, we'll say it the right way.
Just that we're going to solicit bids for the upcoming future audits. If that works.
Well, I think that'd be actually 2 motions perhaps.
Yeah, that would be a separate motion.
Yeah, our current motion is just to engage with Yo and Yo at this time, and then may not require a motion, just back burner. When it comes time, we'll certainly look into that. So if we could maybe just limit it to the 1 motion, if that's okay?
Yo has done a good job for the last 2 years, have they not?
They have done a very good job,
And then
in
so
my
come July
opinion.
1st, we'll certainly shop, do the shop process. So,
Okay, I'll make the amended motion that we accept Yo for the upcoming year for the audit.
and I'll continue my seconding. So, Ms. Ricketts, will have the roll call vote, please?
Sikora?
Yes.
Torenzi?
Yes.
Cuddington?
Yes.
Sylvester?
Yes.
Calandrino?
Yes.
O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deanne?
Yes. Very good, thank you, motion carries. Mr. Paternoster, were you gonna read the revenue and expenditure report? Or is it just something you wanted us to be aware of? Because otherwise it would be posted on our website, correct?
No, we don't post this on the website.
Okay.
We can post it on Munetrix if you wish for me to do so, but
Okay.
we have not been.
Okay, that might be beneficial. Wait, so Mr. Paternoster, anything other than?
Nothing else.
Okay, thank you so much. Ms. Ricketts, anything from the clerk's office?
Nothing really to report. The only thing, I don't know if you're aware that there has been a change in the state election law. You now may register to vote on voting day.
Oh, very
There are
good.
special stuff that you have to
that's
provide, but you can register to vote all the way up to,
We had a session on it.
Consider me so informed.
yippee.
Very good. Okay, nothing further, ma'am?
Nope.
Okay,
Thank you.
Mr. Calandrino, anything from the Downtown Development Authority?
You covered most of the items of interest, except maybe the mural. Do we want to
Yeah,
speak on
and
that
then
a little bit?
also, DDA did also consider supporting some funds towards Pioneer Park. There was discussion about it.
There was discussion, I don't think we voted on that.
Yeah, we certainly didn't vote on it, but there was discussion.
Yeah.
So, okay, one thing real quick that we should cover is our Easter egg hunt is this Saturday.
11 a.m.
11 a.m. sharp. Should you be there at 11:01, you will have certainly had your opportunity for eggs
You'll be
diminished.
eggless.
You missed it.
You could be eggless, so be there 11 o'clock or sooner, because it will begin immediately at 11 a.m. So, all right, and then what else do we have here? Parks and Rec Commission, Easter egg hunt, there it is. Historic District Commission, nothing to report this time. Ms. McGrail-Baloo, anything to report from the City Attorney's Office?
You know, just to add, when you were updating with regard to the building department, Mr. Hicks and I had the opportunity to appear in the 41A District Court in March with regard to the former barbershop property on Auburn Road, and we did obtain an order requiring, a court order requiring the property owner to bring everything into compliance with code as well as some other relief. That is supposed to be all code violations remedied by June 1st, 2019 with a status conference. I have not seen that date come in yet, but that's supposed to be in June as a control date where we would go before the court if it's not being remedied. So we're hopeful that that's going to be remedied in the immediate future.
I have, because that's my street, I have seen workers coming in and out of the building, so
Yeah,
it's a good sign.
he is pulling permits that were previously not pulled, and the work is being performed, and hopefully that building is coming in line with what's acceptable as a increasing standard in the city of Utica. Okay, anything further, Ms. McGrail-Baloo?
Nothing at this time.
Senior Housing Steering Committee, there's nothing to report. The bills payable, council bills have been presented before you. We should pay the bills, maintain good credit standing with our debtors,
I'll make a motion to approve the bills as presented.
our creditors rather.
Support.
We'll say it's moved by Sikora, and who won the race over there? Ms. Terenzi seconded the motion. Any concern or discussion on that? Very good. All in favor of paying the bills? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, the motion carries. We pay the bills. Any communication from the public? Anyone have anything they want to add? Mr. Andrade? No? All right, very good. So if there's nothing further, it would require a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Sikora.
Support.
Support by Cuddington. Any discussion on the matter? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Motion carries. We are adjourned at 9:09 PM.
Good job.
We're getting good at this.
Good job.
Well, we did have a little, we did go for a little bit, you know.
Ken.
Yeah, don't.
Does everyone know Officer